Good morning to everybody. Does anybody have anything they want to talk about before we get started?
Let's see.
Perfect.
Okay.
All right. Well, we ready to get started? My name is Keith Evans, and I have Clay Gibson and Brendan Bivens on the phone. We have two different companies that we run. One is Equity Prime Mortgage, which you're familiar with that, regular Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, USDA, VA, blah, 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 that type of thing. We lend the money, we keep the loans, and we service those loans. Everything is done in-house. We own the processing center and everything. So we have the underwriter, the processor, compliance, everything is document prep and funding under one roof. That is our St. Augustine office. We also have another company called KE Capital Investments that we've owned for quite some time. With that company, we do commercial loans. We do private money loans, which that's been real big lately. And commercial loans have been quite large. And, you know, just things that are out of the box that we can do with that particular product. And what we do with KE Capital, that has been around since, I believe, 2012. And I personally have been in the business since 1999. And Clay Gibson is one of the senior partners in that KE Capital. He's been in the banking industry. Clay, tell him about how long you've been in, buddy.
Gosh, 45 years, and I am now retired and find it much easier loaning money the way we're doing it now.
Yeah, that's the truth. A lot less paperwork. So there's no loan amount that scares us. We get money from different places. One of the benefits that Clay does have, because he's been doing a lot of consulting, and we all have it too, is that he knows what banks are willing to book, because it doesn't really work the way that you think it does. You know, banks are willing to book maybe doctor loans that own medical buildings and non-recourse loans, so we can refi those, get it out of their personal name. They have money and their credit's free now to go on and buy more real estate. So we know what they want to book. So it's not a guessing game for us. You know, when we take on a commercial project, we pretty much know where we're going to place it. I spent a lot of time in Europe also. So we have hedge funds in Europe that we work with. We have partners in Switzerland, Sweden, all over the place. And we all work together, California, Portland, all over the place. We all work together to help each other to get a lot of loans done. And we do some pretty amazing stuff, mining loans, the huge condominiums, all types of things. But Clay is the expert on most of those commercial loans. So Clay, let's get a couple questions in and we can go from there so we can figure out what your interests are. Anybody have any questions? What are you working on, or anything that you need to know? Or?
Well, I can tell you a little bit about what we're doing then, and then maybe we'll generate some questions from that. But, you know, first of all, good morning, and thank you for inviting me. And as Keith put it, I'll put it a little more simply. We provide money for commercial projects. We make loans. You know, everybody knows the best thing you can have as a customer to walk in as a cash buyer. And then the next best thing is to have someone walk in with financing prearranged. But then at times you get a buyer that's got a good idea, a little bit of their own money, but doesn't really understand how to get it financed. And that's where we can help. The good part here is all you have to do is make the introduction. You know, we understand there might be some issues with, you know, making a reference. We're not asking for a reference. Just say, hey, I know somebody that might could help you with it. Here's their number, or call me, call Keith, and we will get them on a conference call, which a lot of times is best. But really, that's all the work you have to do. Now, you know, I can go into the nuts and bolts of what it takes to make a loan, what various institutions or private investors are going to want to look at in order to qualify as a good loan. And that may be some of the questions you have. But in reality, we take it from there. Just let me know what you've got, and we can take it from there. And also, to simplify something Keith just said, is that we don't automatically rule out any kind of loans. You may call some institutions and they may say, well, we don't do raw land. Well, we've got some raw land money that we can loan for the right project. Now, just, not some kind of fly by night thing. It's got to be the right deal, but we will loan on raw land. A lot of banks won't do golf courses. We do that. Some banks won't do restaurants. Well, we've got that too. So it's just a matter of knowing where to take the loan and how to structure it and what kind of timing will work. Just to list a few of the deals we have done recently and starting small, you may get rental houses. People like to build a portfolio of rental houses. I think the smallest loan we've made on a rental house is $65,000. But we don't shy away from the work. Same work goes into $65,000 as goes into $650,000. It's the same process, but we don't shy away from that. We, can get a $65,000 loan for someone to buy a rental property. They fix it up, spruce it up, whatever they want to do. They come back to us again. It works out that way. We can do commercial buildings, whether it's going to be owner occupied or an income producing property. We don't shy away from strip centers. A lot of banks do that. Warehouse properties, we can do motels. We've done 1.2 million to 16 million. One thing that might help you sell some properties, we love hotel conversions, where it's a trendy thing right now to convert a small old Florida style motel into market rate apartments. And if you think about that, someone that's a journeyman plumber, young guy getting started, or weld or something like that, he can't afford to pay $2,500 a month and rent in a, nice, sexy apartment building. But he could get a converted motel room where everything's included for $850 a month, and living by himself, he's living like a king. So those work really good. We've done daycares, we've done marinas, campgrounds, of course, golf courses. We love apartment complexes, ground up construction. We can even take over a failed construction project whereby a developer might have started an apartment complex and run out of money, partner die. We've seen various scenarios, but construction stops. We can get involved with that and bring it back online. And we've done a good bit of multi-use. One of the first things Keith and I ever did together was commercial on the ground floor, residential condos on the upper floors. And we love that kind of thing. What I'd like to leave you with is there's nothing that we won't take a look at, and we try to simplify the process. We have closed commercial loans in as little as 3 days, and probably could have done it quicker, except for the borrower didn't get us the information that we needed in a timely manner. As a general rule, we try to close them in 2 weeks, certainly within a month. But that's what we do. I don't want to oversimplify it, but your part would be simple. Just make the introduction. We'll do the work and do our dead level best to help you make a sale. And with that, I'll answer any questions about any project you may have.
I want to step in here, Mr. Gibson, and tell the folks here, I've got a lot of experience in commercial, and one of the hardest things to overcome is when a project is too small for a lender. You mentioned that, doing small projects, that is something that is hard to find. A lot of times people come with small deals and you can't get any kind of financing, or anybody to do the work, like what you said, they don't want to deal with it. And I love that you guys see forward to where that small deal becomes a larger deal, becomes a larger deal, becomes a larger deal. So I appreciate that. I've got a lot of interest on loan to value. Can you guys run us down through, whoever handles this, run us down through loan to value on different projects, from raw land to portfolio loans to et cetera?
It depends on the project. Just to give you a really good example of something we can do on a vacant land, and I hate to use the term raw land, but then again, it is raw land if there's nothing constructed on it. We can take a project that, let's just say we got a 25-acre apartment site that was purchased or going to be purchased, negotiated for, when it was zoned for agricultural or office product or something like that, that was taken through redevelopment and got permitted to build a 240 unit apartment complex. And that makes it automatically worth a lot more. Well, this customer needed to close on it, and we got them a 90% advance ratio on the purchase price. So, that's a pretty high advance ratio. But then again, you're looking at taking a piece of property that is not entitled for apartments and then getting a loan on it because now it is entitled for apartments. So the purchase price was set based on what it was at the time, and then the loan was based on what they turned it into. So, that's allowing for value added. Keith and I recently did some agricultural land that, and it's not irrigation under production. It's basically just pasture land that was being held as family land. As far as how much we could have done, we funded the full amount, and it turned out to be about 45%. And that's because that's what the request was. Now, could we have loaned more? That depends. But the advance ratios are really deal specific. And, hard money is typically going to be around 60%. Banks have that rule of thumb of 80%, but really there's nothing magical about it these days. You go USDA, sometimes they want 5%. It really is deal specific, and you've got to find out what the customer's got going on. Needless to say, they do have to have some of their own money. You're not going to find any 100% financing. You're not going to find 100% financing. So they need to bring some of their own money in. And I would remind everyone that one of the best things you can do is have a contract in advance. That sort of sets the tone. I know that, and we don't mind helping realtors if they call us and say, hey, I've got a customer. Can you tell me if they can get a loan on this? The customer generally, if they don't have a contract on it, they're not going to want to provide us with the information we need to issue a firm commitment. But we could talk you through some general parameters that it would take to get it done. So I hope that answered your question. If you got a specific deal in mind, I can give you specifics on a particular deal.
Right. I'd like to tell them about the one that we have that just came in. It's a casino in Mississippi. We're doing the loan based on the bond that's being issued for the $600 million build out. They need 16 million in the beginning to get started, and we're waiting for the bond to be committed at the end in order to do the 16 million. The 16 million would be done as a hard money loan. Is it going to cost them? Yes. But what we're using as equity is the license for the casino that's already been permitted and the other permits that are coming along with it too. It's a very difficult loan to do because they only have 5 million in it, but we're able to be creative and restructure and use other particular parts of the loan in order to give it more value to present it to the lender. Is it done yet? No, but we're working on it right now. We're supposed to receive a term sheet today. And, just because we've received the term sheet still doesn't mean that it's not done, but we're not going to give up. $16 million, and we have a $600 million buyout at the end, bond that's going to take the loan. That is a very good loan for us as long as the bond is approved and that deal is approved later. There's no risk to our private investors because we have unlimited amounts of money for private money. Now, most private money people don't like to put it all into one big deal, but in this case they would because of the value of the casino, multifamily, hotel, restaurants, all different kinds of sites that are going to be there, and it's on the water. So,
Okay.
I mean, all we really need to do is have something to put our teeth into. And if we can't find anything to put our teeth into, we can't do the deal, of course. But we do have the fog your mirror loan too, meaning that you put so much money down that you just breathe. And if it fogs the mirrors, we can get you private money. Are you going to pay for it? Yes. 4% up front and usually around 12% interest on a 2-year balloon. We do not like to do those unless we know we have a takeout strategy because we don't have any foreclosures and we don't want to have any. And that's why so many people allow us to lend their money out is because they want to know the exit strategy. They don't care about the entrance. They want to know, how am I going to get my money back when it comes to hard money? So we work on that part first. And that way we can present it to them. And we've been doing it long enough to where they do kind of go off of that. We have a lot of work to do on this one that just came in, but that's the type of thing that we'll take. And most people won't even look at anything like that.
Okay. Now you guys, so you mentioned doing this. We got, first of all, can I get Brenda, maybe you can do it, share the panel contact info in the chat, get everybody's contact info in the chat so they can access it. So you guys do hard money residential flips as well, for, flippers or whomever, as long as it makes sense, right?
Yeah.
As long as it's a business loan.
Right.
Not homestead. Go ahead, Keith.
Yeah. We don't do them as homesteaded properties because the investors stay away from that. We do them as business loans. But let's say, for example, they have a house in New Jersey and they fell in love with a house down in Orlando and they want it right away, but they can't buy it because they haven't sold the New Jersey house. We could do a dual lien, a lien on New Jersey and a lien on the one down here. So when the New Jersey property sells, the down payment is given for the property down here. We also can finance in, say, the realtor up there says, I'm going to sell it in 3 months. We can finance in that 3 months worth of payments as long as the equity is there. Now, that's a very difficult loan to do, but we've done it quite often on the double lien. We only have a few investors that will do it. So, I mean, I guess the point of the matter is that if you give it to us and let us take a look at it, and we'll give it our best shot to get it done. And if we can't get it done, it usually doesn't have a chance of being done because we don't give up on anything.
Okay.
We fight.
That's a very creative solution. I like that. Do you guys have any questions for the panel?
Do you do a lot of residential loans or mostly second home, primary residence, or?
Our group does everything from commercial to everything. I mean, to absolutely everything. These folks are all over the board.
Love it.
So,
yeah. And it sounds like you're the type like us. We go out and get ours. We don't wait for the phone to ring.
There you go. Yep.
Yeah.
I'd like to add something to that as far as what Keith was saying. We did have one group that wanted to buy a house in Florida, moved to Florida, coming from Ohio. And they had a house there that they needed to take some money out of. It was paid for, but they needed to get it sold, take some money out. And they were under the gun to buy a house. As you recall, at one point you had to jump quick if you wanted to buy a house that was already constructed. And since we don't do anything homesteaded and they were not going to live in their present home in Ohio, they took that home, put it in an LLC. We were able to loan money on it as a commercial loan, and they bought a new residence. So, they did have to give up their homestead exemption in Ohio, but they were going to have to do that anyway when they homesteaded the one in Florida. So, but that gave them some short-term money. So that was getting creative with
right. And then we do the takeout after that. As soon as they sell that one, we refinance it into their name so they can homestead it. So we already have that. That's already in place. So basically, we run it through underwriting since we have that processing center and get ready for that. So when it does sell, we can take it out of the LLC and put it in our personal name.
And we are not limited to just Florida. As I said, we've done loans in Ohio, Hawaii. We can get things done in some of the Caribbean islands, but everybody's got to be very careful. And Keith and I don't loan our own money there. But on these flips, like you were talking about, that's something we can get done really quickly. Those are they don't require a lot of work as far as on the lending side. So bring us all of those you got.
And that's our favorite. That's our favorite because we turn them quick and we get them twice.
Yeah, and that's good income because the loans pay off quicker. And you can churn the portfolio. Think about yourself. If you could keep selling a house to the same customer that buys a house in January, decides they don't like it in March, comes to you and you sell it for them and broker a new one to them, and then in July they do that again. Well, you've sold that same customer 3 houses in 6 months.
Right. And one other thing to mention too, if you have a contractor that's flipping houses, we could set them up with one investor. If it's not me, if I'm out of money or Clay's out of money, we have investors that give us their money. People that own airlines, people like that. I mean, we have millions of dollars to lend. Just this morning alone, I've gotten 1.5 million and they asked me to put on the street. So let's just say you find somebody that's flipping houses as a contractor. First house, he's going to put 30% down. After we gain trust with them, we'll stick them with the same investor, whether it be myself, Clay, or just one of our partners that we lend their money out. And that way, as they move on, they won't have to put as much money down. We have some people, just the investor trusts them and their partners. And basically, they find something, they send the contract in, they close, they know they're going to fix it up and resell it, and we're good to go. But that takes time to build that trust. You know,
And
they
that's
have to
the
have
value
something.
of repeat business. Yeah.
That's correct. So if you start seeing flips come on the market and you know that guy's going to continue to do it, you need to let us know in advance so we can set them up with one of our investors that loves to follow that type of business, which is good
Fantastic.
for you. It's good for us too.
That's fantastic. Hope you guys are listening to that because we have a lot of that kind of stuff that people want. We have some questions. Do you do master lease for commercial? If you do, when do you get involved, at the beginning of the deal or before the end of the master lease for the purchase? Also, can you refinance during the lease period?
That's a Clay question.
Yeah, and I don't really understand what you mean by a master lease. Are you talking about securing the loan with the property and then the owner would have a master lease to a property management company? Or would you be talking about townhomes? We have done one with townhomes where a developer purchased all of the townhomes and then signed on with sort of like an Airbnb company that would manage the units. In other words, they leased all of the units from the developer for a set price per month, and then they would collect rent from the vacationers coming in. So be a little more specific about what kind of deal you're asking about.
All right, that's from the chat. She'll have to answer that on the chat. Mike wants to know, can you handle loans for a worship center?
Yes.
Okay. Jackie,
We just to elaborate on that while you get another question. We do have commercial banks that we got one in particular that really likes making loans to churches. They've gotten a pretty good reputation of being able to underwrite them. You have to get the tithing reports. You have to then have someone on staff to do and I don't want to scare anybody about this, but they'll do a little background check to make sure that the just using publicly available sources, not hiring private investigators, but we'll make sure that these people giving are real, that they do have the wherewithal to make this work. Sometimes they might want to get some of the major members of the church that have substantial net worth to give a guarantee or even a limited guarantee to say, listen, I'll guarantee, if you're talking about whatever size loan, a certain portion of the loan that they'll stand good for, which in essence is like a tithe. But the short answer is yes. If you get one, they're all specific, and a lot of times we have to ascertain the best way to get it done. But yes, we like worship facilities. And we are non-denominational on that. It's not like, we prefer Presbyterians because
we're Catholics
for whatever reason.
Right. Lease. Okay. To clarify on the other master lease, leasing from seller with a set purchase price with rights to profit for the buyer who leases and right to selling or refinancing before lease expires.
So from that standpoint, if it's just a lease, I'm not sure why you'd need to borrow any money. If you're leasing something,
I'm not sure I follow you.
why don't you give her my number and have her call me afterwards and I see something on screen to speed up the purchase. Well, I think we'd try to speed up the purchase and make the loan would be my first thought on that. But then again, if it's a lease, that means you're going to be making monthly payments anyway.
Jackie, will you get Clay's number off the chat and contact him directly? I think that'd be a more of a talk than we can do. All right. She's going to do that.
That sounds like something that's got potential, though. I mean, if they've thought it through to the standpoint that they're considering getting this creative with it, that's probably a customer we can figure something out for. I like that.
Right.
So yeah, please call me.
Yeah.
All right.
And we also do mezzanine financing also. Let's say we have somebody that needs a big loan. They have 50 million, but they need 100 million down. We have mezzanine financing that will come in and put the other 50 million down for a piece of the profit of the building, of course, but we can do it and it avoids them from losing the project. We do that on very large projects.
And consider the term mezzanine almost like second mortgage. Whereas, if you can get a second mortgage for a certain percentage, then an investor will come in and take a second mortgage because it is subordinate to the first mortgage. But what makes it mezzanine is they get a share of the company for a period of time to make sure that they do behave right and bring the deal through. So yes, we can do that.
All right. Do you do all these types of loans in Florida, all in corporations, I assume?
Yes. Well, we are not just in Florida. I mean, we have been as far as Hawaii. I mentioned the house in Ohio. We've done an apartment complex. And actually, no, we did 2 apartment complexes for the same borrower in Ohio. We did a house in New Jersey. But yeah, like everybody else, we like to stay close to home. We like Florida. That's our favorite. But
I
as
think
Steve just mentioned, we got Mississippi with the casino.
We've done bridge loans from as far out as Oregon and places like that. So it's
Right.
possible through a lot of different ways. So
Yeah.
like I said, we do prefer Florida. Most of our programs are directly in Florida.
Right.
So
Most of our private investors, some of them don't even care if it's an LLC, but they will make them sign a piece of paper that they're not going to homestead it or anything like that in order to do like that loan where you have a house in New Jersey and you want to pull money out down here. They just don't want to get into the Dodd-Frank bill and all the other things. And they're lending out their private funds and they're allowed to lend out their private money as long as they don't lend out more than 7 a year. So they want to keep it simple, and that's how they keep it simple for themselves.
All right. So these are all done in corporations. Everybody has to be an LLC here or some kind of corporation.
No.
You can do individual.
Individuals, but it all depends on the deal.
Right.
You know?
Sure.
And we do have an attorney that we work with that when people do need to put a piece of property, and generally if you're going to have a rental house, certainly if you're going to have a piece of income producing property that's commercial or even your own owner occupied commercial property, you do want to put that in an LLC to protect yourself from liability anyway. I mean, that's just smart business, but we do have an attorney we work with that closes the loans that has, I'll call it a portfolio of pre-formed LLCs that all he has to do is transfer to that particular individual. There is a backlog with the state of Florida as far as getting LLCs formed. Now, it's getting better, but during COVID, it would take quite a bit of time to get the LLC finalized. And of course, then you've got to get your tax ID number from the IRS. But anyway, this guy had some pre-formed that he just had on the shelf. Somebody come in, hey, I need to do some business. I got you covered. So, the main thing is if you get a project, call us.
Right.
Let it, just call us.
All right, Tammy, you have a question.
Yes, I have a guy who's buying new construction. He's in Mexico, like 480,000. So some lenders handling it, and it got to the point where they had to flip him into an LLC. The lender wouldn't loan him money because he owns other properties in the US, and they said, you're probably going to owner occupy this. So we're not going to, you have to be, it's a business loan, so you have to be in a LLC. So in a case like that, where you have an individual that is he's out of the country, he's in Mexico, they're financing, I think it's going to go through, but if it fell through, would you guys be able to, a second home, would you be able to loan him money, and how long would that take?
Where
I
is it
think he
located?
has basically a lot of no documentation too.
Yeah. Where is it located?
In Kissimmee.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. We take
Yeah.
what kind of down payment does he have?
72. Well, I think he's going to bring more cash, but he put 72 with the builder. And I think there's more cash he has to bring to close. I'm not totally sure, but
Yeah, so the total purchase price you said was about
480.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be something we could take. There's a lot of different ways to get that done.
Right.
Particularly
And
being
how long would it take to get it done?
What would you think? 2 weeks, Keith?
2 weeks at the maximum. The lady this morning that called to give me the $1 million, she likes to go out 5 years. That would be something for her because we wouldn't want to put him in a 2-year loan. And that would be 12% interest on something like that and probably 4 points. But 30% down is what she's looking for minimum. But she likes to keep her money out longer. And if they're paying well, she automatically renews it. So
Okay.
it just all depends. Every deal is different, you know?
Yeah.
Like the used car salesman says, there's an ass for every seat. There's definitely an ass for every seat in this business.
Exactly.
And if you need it done quick, it would definitely be the best way to go through like those private channels that Keith and Clay work with. And to introduce myself, I know I've been more the silent partner this time, but I handle a lot of the non-QM programs and a lot of the DPA programs and that we do. And so like for me, I'm listening to that and I'm hearing a foreign national program. We can do just a direct non-QM foreign national, 75% LTV, no MI, loan can go up to $1 million on that. We can also do DSCRs, which just basically means that we can qualify them based on the income that they plan to get from the property rather than their current income. So that's like the kind of foreign national programming that we do that might fit a situation like that. To touch base on some other things that we do bank statement loans. I know that was mentioned. We can do up to 90% LTV on that. One of the best programs I have for that is it's 24 months bank statements, 90% LTV, no mortgage insurance on that. So that can be a really good program. Other things that, like I said, I specialize in a lot of the down payment assistance. We've actually got a new program coming out directly from our company, a forgivable 5% grant. I saw a question in the chat about first-time home buyers. It's exactly that program is what we're leaning into and seeing a lot of on the regular lending side. So that would be a 5% forgivable. Again, it's up to 5, so it depends on the situation. But they could get that would get their down payment, get them into the home, and then if they hold the mortgage for enough time, then that grant will be forgiven. We work with the state and different counties we're all qualified for all the programs. The Hometown Heroes program, which I know you guys have heard of. We're qualified for that, and lots of other things that are more specific for counties and different things. So if you have a situation where you have somebody who needs money for something, then I've got forgivable grants, repayable ones, just depends on the type. So.
Okay, Brendan, thank you very much. That is awesome, and that's what I want you guys to all. I think the theme of this today is don't give up on anything. Somebody can help you with just about anything that you want to do. Eden wants to know, can we get some type of flyers? All this being mentioned kind of fast and a lot to remember. Thanks. But yes, absolutely. Just email Brendan. Put your email in there, please, as well as your phone numbers. And just contact Brendan. He can tell you everything that they talked about. And again, guys, just contact these guys if you've got anything that you think you might have a problem with. It sounds like they can help or nobody can. So I'd like to tell you also, if you have something at the closing table that it falls apart the day before, don't give up. Call us. We can come back with private money and close it the next day, as long as there's equity in the deal.
Yeah.
And we do that a lot.
And one thing to watch out for, you had asked for flyers. A lot of the flyers that go around from these lenders, they'll promise you the world, and we're not promising that we can get every deal done, and we're not going to promise you the world, but we do not charge upfront fees, and we do not charge a fee until the loan closes. If you ever, on most of these flyers, that means if they're printing flyers and sending things out, they've got overhead, and they've got to pay for that. And just be extremely cautious. If some lender says, "Yeah, I love the deal, send me, $2,900. That's typically a popular fee, $2,900 or $1,900 sometimes. And we'll get started. That's to cover underwriting and process.
Hey,
Don't-
Clay, tell them how much they wanted to charge us last week on that one deal we walked away from.
Oh my God, that was, and then anyway, the guy had sent it to me. Then when I refused to pay it, he talked ugly to me, but that's all right. I know all the words.
How much was it total?
Just to say something,
Yeah.
I've tried to buy and I've tried to refinance some income properties in the past. I've went to some commercial banks here in town, and I've been to credit unions as well. They didn't even know what a DSCR loan was. I had to explain them, and they're like, we don't know what that is. We have no idea what you're talking about. I used to be a mortgage broker, so I kind of know. Plus, I buy income properties every now and then and sell them. But it was so surprising to me that I was talking to big banks and I was talking to big credit unions, and they had no idea what I was talking about. And I kind of had to explain to them, okay, you're not looking at my income and you're not looking at what I'm paying out. You're looking at the income coming in from the asset. That's what you're looking at. You know, you can check my credit and everything, which is great. But it was so surprising to me that a lot of people have no idea what they're talking about out there. So that's why I'm telling everybody, write down these people or these guys' numbers and stuff and keep them in your pocket. Because when you get that from an investor or someone that wants to buy income properties or commercial properties, it's good to know people that actually know the business. So that's what I wanted to say.
I closed one like that. Yeah, appreciate that. I closed one like that a month ago where I used the income from the rental to close it. Well, it worked out so well. The debt ratio without the income was going to be like 60. There was no way I could do it. But I was able to get it through. Our underwriter said we could do one without it being on the tax return. We just needed the lease and the deposit checks to get the first one done. Well, they were so excited, they went out and bought a duplex the next week. I said, I can't do it twice in the same year. You have to have it on your tax returns. And now next year, I could come back and do it again. So we were able to do it. But if it's going to be a regular Fannie Freddie loan, we could do one with a lease and a deposit check. But then we have to wait till it's on your tax returns to be able to repeat the process again. So I'm talking about people making $40,000 a year buying $600,000 duplexes, you know, but they're renting out for $2,000 inside here.
But right now it's prime time to do that because it's the end of the year.
Correct.
So, you know, you get it closed fourth quarter, then you get first quarter next year.
Correct. And then you can get them another property and then
So that's, and by the way, that guy wins the award for the best background. We know what he's doing after the meeting.
Actually, this is the Waverly. I just sold it last week. It's a condominium. So I had to take a picture of it. Of course, I had to change my background. My background is usually what was it? The Muppets? Yeah, it's usually the Muppets.
There you go.
Well, you wouldn't have won the award if you had the Muppets. Now I got to tell you, that wouldn't work out.
Oh, God.
All right. Any more questions for these gentlemen? And is there anything that you guys, Brendan went over briefly he did a commercial for the residential stuff. Guys, I mean, the bottom line is that they can do just about anything that you guys want. And, you know, people who have difficulties, and we've all, a lot of us have been, you know, the people who need the bridge loans or the hard money loans or whatever from time to time. So we appreciate the flexibility, and there's nothing that more money down can't solve anyway. So, keep these guys in mind. And
wait a minute. Let's add one more thing on top of that. As far as difficulties, Keith and I have talked over and over about the philosophy that people that haven't been tested by fire, you don't know how they're going to behave when the fire breaks out. So if you get a customer that says, listen, I've got a, bruised credit report, I've been through a divorce, lost a job, illness, whatever. Yeah, they've been tested. We like them. Bring them to us.
Yeah. We'll actually help them get better and give them the private money loan to get in too.
Yeah.
And
people that have been tested, you can trust them.
Mm-hmm.
after this is done, I'll work on, if any of you guys want any of this information, I'll work on putting some of this together in an email that I can send out to any of you guys that you want, just to kind of touch base on some of the highlights that we talked about. I do see a quick question about doing VA loans. We do. We have all of our, as far as like regular residential mortgages, all of our staff are directly based here in Florida. All your loans stay right here with our team. We work through this, with the same team. Our underwriting manager for the entire company is actually based right here out of our office, and she is directly certified from the VA to underwrite those loans. So we do the regular stuff as well. I know that we just wanted to present that we have other options and that to you guys. And just if you've kind of seen through this, like, me, Keith, and Clay, we kind of each have different focuses, and that's how it works through our office. It's impossible for any one of us to know everything about all of these programs and to stay on top of it. So in general, that's how we split up the workload. So even if you get one of our numbers and you reach out to the wrong person about something, we know the right person to get you to help you get into the program for just about anything. So that's how we split up the workload, and that's how we all stay up to date and current to be able to provide everything that's available. So
Absolutely.
All right, guys. Well, thank you very much for coming in. You guys, again, their contact info is in the chat. Brendan's email is in the chat as well. And Brendan, you'll get everybody to where they need to go with the emails. I appreciate that. So contact Brendan if you want more information on this. Otherwise, Brendan will give it to me, and you guys will always contact me anyway, because that's what you do. So. I really appreciate you guys coming in. Clay, Keith, Brendan, appreciate it very much. Agents, if you want to hang around and talk some shop, I'll stay on while these guys excuse themselves. And thank you so much, guys, for coming in.
Yeah.
Really
Thank you
appreciate
for having
it.
us.
Thank you
Bye.
very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right, guys. Any questions or comments on any of that stuff? Or anything else that's going on? Man, so quiet today.
I have some, Brian. Good morning.
Hi, Malvis.
Go figure. I have a question.